Developers need to know how to use Google every single day because we face problems that no one has ever seen before. So in this video, we're going to take a look at Googling, how to not do it and how to do it, as well as things that I've learned over the years. Today's video is sponsored by Hashnode, a community for developers who want to start blogging and sharing information about what they've learned as they code. Hashnode is free. You can actually map your own domain name to their platform and start publishing articles without paying a cent. On top of that, you get great SEO, and there's no ads or paywalls or anything like that. This is a great community for developers by developers, and I know a lot of great people on here, such as Catalan Pitt or Danny Thompson, and I'm seeing more and more articles that are posted on there every day that I just enjoy reading. Even today, I was exploring the top publishers and I found Marco, and he actually did a really cool article here on how to use Google like pro. And this went over some other stuff that I haven't even covered in this video, but it's worth checking out. Man, I'm so bored. Let's do something fun. Alright, it's time to start a new project. Create React app. Subscribe now. Wait, what is this bug? I need to Google this. Why isn't my subscribe app working? This should be simple. I'll just go Stack Overflow. Why subscribe now isn't working? What? There's no answers here. You know what? I'm just gonna try something different. What about create React app like now? That didn't work either. What's going on?
2 hours later.
Alright, let's actually try Googling this one over here. Maybe that has an answer. Oh, well, I don't have Create React app installed. No wonder. You're not even meant to use npm anymore. You're meant to use npx. I've been doing this all wrong. Problems like this happen to me all the time. It doesn't matter whether you're a junior developer just starting out or if you're a senior developer working at Google itself. Knowing how to Google problems and figuring out solutions is a core skill for any developer. This whole subject is actually because of a video I recently saw on Ben Awad's channel about how not to Google. I'm going to link that in the description below, but let's quickly check that out.
There's only one JavaScript framework worse than a developer who doesn't know how to Google, so please listen closely to this public safety announcement.
Alright, so the first thing that I've noticed is that Ben says that there is only one JavaScript framework that's worse than someone who can't code. Now, there's a running joke here that this framework might in fact be Angular. Now, I'm not going to put down any bets because Ben has promised not to make any Angular jokes anymore. But I'm going to put my hands down that that's the framework he's talking about, and he's just trying to avoid naming it.
How not to Google. Discord is not Google.
What? Alright, so this is actually a common one for me. When you're running a YouTube channel or doing lots of tutorials, then you'll be surprised to hear just how many people actually post up their problems on Discord. They might just post it into a group chat or DM you directly. And yet these are things that I personally don't have time to do. I don't have time to debug other people's problems, and I'm sure a lot of people don't have time to debug problems for you. Normally you want to do this yourself because it's a skill that you can improve on. So you want to do this on Google and not on Discord. But it is something that I see far too often.
Twitter is not Google, even when you do hashtag lazy Twitter.
Far too often, just like on Discord, I see a lot of private DMs and messages on Twitter where people are trying to figure out problems on there. And just like Reddit, sometimes those places are just not the best place to ask questions. If, for example, you're having an issue with a library and it's on GitHub, sometimes you can open up a GitHub issue. But usually the best way is to try and debug it yourself. Learn how to debug and learn how to use the Google systems to search for problems. Because if you ask on Twitter, you're not going to get very many responses.
Google is where you can Google. And in time. Now Google will take any further questions you have on this topic.
Yes, Google is the way to Google, but there's a few things that you guys need to know as part of this. Knowing how to Google well and not doing it properly is the difference between solving your problem or being endlessly looking through Stack Overflow articles until you eventually just give up and start from scratch. So in this part of this video, I want to really cover what are some of the things that I've learned to Google really well, so that if you do have a problem, it doesn't take you hours to solve. You can solve it in minutes just by Googling the right terms. So here we have a simple React application, and I'm going to make a mistake in here. I'm going to just break this tag here and hit save. And when I do, we'll see that this application here, it won't work properly. You'll see that the build will fail to compile. And we do have a little bit of information here on why it failed. We can see that the corresponding JSX closing tag for P was not expected. And this is because I changed it here to PSDFG or whatever it is. But let's say that, for example, you're trying to debug this. There's lots of different ways you can do so. The first is obviously you can open up your console, and if you do this, you can actually pop it out here and have a look at this code directly in your console. If you're using libraries or stores like Redux, for example, then you'll be able to get some more information about where your error is and what it is in the console. But when you're trying to figure this out, it's important not to copy all the code because every code is unique. What you really want to copy over is this information just over here. If you copy this over and you search for it, you should find something good on Stack Overflow that's corresponded to the issue you're having. In this case, for example, someone had a similar issue with an input here where they didn't close off the tag. And this is a common thing that you also get in React, but it's not exactly what I'm having. This is where we can start improving our searching on Google. We can put the error in quotations, and this is a more specific use case where we're searching exactly for that line of text rather than Google's quasi version of that. When we do, we will get better answers, and sometimes we won't find any answers at all because having specific errors like this means that maybe sometimes they just don't exist, or maybe you'll find something similar. Like here, for example, this person found that their P tag was closing off with a div, and that was where their error was. In our case, it was closing off with a PSDG, and that just would never be found anywhere on Google because that's my own little typo there. But it gives you an idea of a different way to Google. Just putting stuff in quotations is a more specific search. And there's lots of little tricks like this to improve your searching when you're doing stuff on Google and problem solving. Another thing you can add to your search term is maybe something like solution at the start, and this only will search for people that have maybe posted a solution or maybe even the word solved, because these key terms will be picked up by Google, and rather than looking for people that have problems, you're looking for people that have already figured out the solution for this problem. Another thing I like to add in here sometimes is just Stack Overflow, so that I go immediately to Stack Overflow or even GitHub issues, because sometimes people post these things on GitHub issues and you can immediately find the error as well as the solution in the comments. So let's actually have a look at GitHub here and see if there's something like this. So we've actually been related here to this React for Beginners article. And if we have a look, we can see how JSX is written. And for example, it's giving us the syntax that if we do have a P tag, we should be opening and closing it off properly, which in this case, we haven't done properly. There's also a reason you might see a lot of purple links on my Google, and this is because whenever I search for a problem and a solution, I actually start opening up new tabs for every single one of them until my browser is pretty much full. This means that if I'm looking for one of those solutions, I can quickly skim through page by page until I look at something that sort of makes sense. And when I do, I can go, yep, this is my problem. I'll scroll down, here's my solution, and immediately implement it. Sometimes just going in by article might take ages, but being able to have them all in separate tabs just makes life a lot faster and easier if you're looking for solutions. Sometimes though, I might not want a specific search term to be included in my searching. Like for example, maybe I just want to avoid Stack Overflow for any of the problems I'm having to figure out here. So what I can do is I can pass in a hyphen, pass in Stack Overflow, and now anytime the word Stack Overflow is in one of the articles on Google, it's just going to ignore that search item. So here I've got more search results from things like, say, GitHub or Lazzacode, whatever that is. But if I select this one, it actually might have the answer I'm looking for, which is very similar to what I've seen on Stack Overflow, making sure you close those input tags. Of course, there's so much more than just this. Honestly, when you're trying to Google a solution or a problem, then having really simple key terms in there that describe the problem is just as important. So for example, if we have this issue here, because we have so many different frameworks and libraries, sometimes it's hard to know what you're working with. So simply adding in key terms such as React or JavaScript just gives a little bit more context to this issue we're having. That way, if you're searching for a solution, you will probably be more likely to find something that's specific to you rather than all the other frameworks that are out there. Alright, I'm gonna say it. Having good Google skills is one of those things that they just don't really teach, but whether you're a senior or a junior, it is a skill you need to have. I spent half my time debugging, and it is absolutely insane. Some of the problems I've come across, and half the time the solutions were really simple. I just wasn't searching the right thing. This is why being able to search really well on Google is a skill that I would put on your CV when you're applying for jobs, and I would even talk about it in interviews. It would definitely be one of those things that I would be looking for in staff if I was hiring as well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.